What's up, everybody? I am coming to you from a hotel room in London. Technically a day off, but unfortunately we were only here really for a few hours. We play the Download Festival tomorrow, which is a really huge festival, and we actually are leaving from the hotel very shortly. So I wanted to try to get a video together real quick before E3 basically was completely, history and no one was even thinking about it anymore. Of some of the stuff I actually finally was able to watch, and look online that was related to E3, new game announcements, stuff like that. Unfortunately, this year I really wasn't able to even watch most of the coverage, but apparently, there really wasn't as much as past years anyway, with Nintendo not really doing, their press conference, and a lot of the stuff had already been mentioned or announced, prior at other events. But some of the things I did see that caught my eye, which I have written them all down on a piece of paper, and I'm just going to sort of go through them, one by one, and talk briefly about each one. Final Fantasy 15, which is technically Final Fantasy Versus 13, renamed, going to be out in 2014, supposedly, and Square Enix was, basically trying to get everyone excited again for the Final Fantasy franchise and talking about, what they have planned for the series and how Final Fantasy 15, there'll be multiple sequels, for it, sort of like they've done with, Final Fantasy 13. So they plan on at least supporting it, and it looked amazing when they, were originally showing the Versus 13, and it still looks like an amazing game. It just sucks that now we have to wait even longer for it to be on the PS4 or and next generation systems. Next is Zelda: A Link Between Two Worlds, and that is basically the only reason why I'm mentioning that is they showed more content for that, the more footage, gameplay stuff, and then it is coming out in November of this year, which is really cool. Nintendo has quite a few games coming out, big titles over the next year, and there's some worrying going on, I guess, that Nintendo's going to sort of blow their load all in the next few months, basically up until maybe the end of the holiday season or beginning of 2014. They're going to release all these major games and then sort of not really have anything to release again for another year. But they talked about quite a few games. One of the new ones, sorry, I'm chewing gum, so not to be rude, but one of the new games coming out is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. And that basically, the little paragraph I read said that Vikings are apparently your new enemy and they're trying to steal your bananas. And Dixie Kong is back as a playable character, and it is coming out November 13th. I'm taking this fucking gum out. I'm going to drop it on my lap or something. And next would be The Evil Within, which is one of the games I'm looking forward to the most, in the sense that it's from the creator of Resident Evil, and there's some gameplay footage of that shown. Not very much, but it's going to be third person, and lots of sneaking around, very sort of quiet, stealthy action, and you're not taking a machine gun and flying through the levels killing everybody. And there's traps in the game that you can use and the enemies will use, and you can accidentally trigger and, obviously draw attention to yourself, but then you can use the traps as well to help, destroy enemies or at least get past, certain areas. And there's some parts of the game apparently that will be totally weaponless. You won't even have a weapon to use. And it just the little gameplay footage looked really, really cool from what I saw. And apparently it's one of the type of games where you're not going to be able to know exactly what the enemies are going to do, or even if there's an enemy laying on the ground, or if you shoot them right in the head, every time it'll act differently. Sometimes a headshot will take an enemy down right away. Sometimes, a headshot, the guy will just sort of shake it off and then run even faster at you. Next would be Bayonetta 2. I'm mainly mentioning games I'm interested in because, that's what I do. I'm going to talk about shit that I actually care about. And Bayonetta 2 is definitely one of them. Everyone knows it's coming out on Wii U only. The gameplay footage from that, honestly, it looks like Bayonetta. If you played the first one, you liked it, it looks like you're probably going to enjoy the second one. She has a new, shorter haircut, which I know that's sort of a weird thing. Everything you could talk about from the game, I mentioned her haircut, but I don't really dig it. I'm a type of guy that likes longer hair on female characters or females in real life. Women with shorter hair, it's really kind of short. I don't know. I'm spending too long talking about her hair now. But her hair does play a big factor in the game because her whole suit was made out of her hair and big monsters come out of her hair. So, but it looks just as fast-paced and just as M-rated and mature as the other versions. So the fact it's on Wii U doesn't really seem to have affected it at all. Next is the Bureau XCOM Declassified. This isn't a new game announced or anything, but some of the first time I've really seen a lot of detailed footage. And it's third person, and it's very different looking from the very first gameplay, or not even gameplay trailers. It was just a teaser trailers that they had put out years ago now. I want to say at least 2 years ago, maybe even 3, but the first one, I really was interested in this game before they changed the name to the Bureau XCOM Declassified. It just had such a different feel for a shooter with a lot of the enemies being geometric shapes. You'd have a weird triangle that was morphing in the sky. It was floating 10 feet off the ground, and it was just sort of a I can't think of the movie title right now. End of the World, War of the Worlds. There we go. Where they're just zapping people into dust and vapor. It just had a really cool, look and feel to it. This one seems to be they're trying to mix more of the tactical elements from the other XCOM games, the RTS games, into a third-person shooter, which it still looks like fun, and I can kind of see some of the enemies that they had in that original idea for the game before they they basically changed everything and revamped it. I can sort of see some of those designs still in a few of them, but I'm a little bummed that they changed it so much. I think they were just trying to modify it for people that were really big XCOM fans of RTS fans. And obviously with the Bureau XCOM Declassified. When your squad mates when they die, it's permadeath, so you can you have to be really careful when playing with them, and you can get attached to I spent so much time on this one character and bam, now he's dead, and that sucks. So next would be Super Mario 3D World. That was the new Mario game for the Wii U. It's going to be 4 players. Princess Peach is back as a playable character along with Toad and Mario and Luigi. And the new suit that they showed is a cat suit. And while it looks really, really goofy, I mean, when I kind of think of it, I'm like, well, so did the frog suit and a lot of these other suits, that Mario has gotten over the years have looked really weird. So now he's in a cat suit. But the moves and stuff you can do in the cat suit are pretty cool. The fact you can climb straight up walls and some of the cat attacks that he was doing. And that's definitely the theme they're going with. Even the logo had a little cat tail, and then at the very end of the trailer it meowed. But it looks really fun. I mean, all Mario games, are supposed to be really fun and bubbly, but for some reason the gameplay footage for this really caught my attention for a lot of the different little, gimmicks and the ways you can play through the levels. A little bit more than, the last few Mario games, the ones on the 3DS and stuff have. Next, this is one that a lot of people have been waiting for a really long time. I'm personally not a huge fan of the series, but I did want to talk about it because it is action RPG related, and I'm a big fan of RPGs, role-playing games. Kingdom Hearts 3 is finally, coming out. It'll be fun. It's finally been announced officially, and it is the final game, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong because I'm not a super big fan of the series. And I can't even read my writing. Xehanort Saga. Sorry for big fans. I totally, botched that. It takes place after Kingdom Hearts 3D, and they have not really announced many locations in the game, the different worlds, or too many of the characters. Obviously, Mickey and King Mickey, Goofy, Donald, Sora. And I don't remember the other ones. I didn't write them down, but not a lot of other things have been mentioned. I'm sure they want to leak them out, slowly. And a game I am looking forward to a lot coming out on the Vita is Tearaway. It's a game from Media Molecule. People do Little Big Planet, And I already known about the game. They announced a little while back, but some of the new features with it are really cool. They showed how you can interact with the world by using the front or the back touchpads, or the touch screen or the touchpad. And when using the touchpad on the back on certain areas of the game board on the ground, when you poke it, like your finger, not really your finger obviously, but a finger will come through the ground, and you can even see, like in certain parts, like the sun in the sky, it'll show, the camera will show, like, your face or whatever it's looking at. And same thing when you poke your finger through, it'll show, like, the camera, like our world will show up wherever, like, it's being ripped. If you don't know Tearaway, like, the whole game is made out of paper. It's supposed to be like paper craft characters and plants and everything. So you're basically like tearing parts of the paper and seeing our world through the cameras on the Vita. I thought that was really, really cool. The whole like premise of the game, like the character you pick, you're trying to get a message out into our world, and the message falls back into the papercraft world, and they're trying to basically deliver it to us. And then another feature with it is you can shake the Vita, and it'll actually shake the game world, and you can see stuff moving, and it just seems to have a lot of really good usage of the mechanics of the Vita. And a few more things. Oh, basically like I said, I haven't had a chance to even delve into probably maybe 20% of all the announcements and all the stuff. I spent a few hours today on, I guess, technically the last day of E3. It started on the 11th, 12th, yeah, the last day of E3. I spent a few hours just sort of digging through all the announcements and picked out things that really caught my attention. I know there are a ton more, so don't go, hey, why don't you talk about this one game or whatever, because I haven't had the time. I want to talk a little bit about actual Xbox One and PS4 information. I already did an entire video back when Microsoft did their press conference, their special press conference about the Xbox One reveal. So I'm not going to talk about all the crazy issues and used game thing and all that kind of stuff. But a few things that did catch my attention were Microsoft made a comment saying, Microsoft says gamers with no or poor internet connection, so people that don't have an internet connection or just kind of shitty internet connection, they have an answer for them if they're not going to buy an Xbox One, obviously, because they wouldn't be able to play used game stuff on it or even play any games because they can't check in. Their answer was to stick with the Xbox 360. So basically, their answer is sorry. We're not going to be able to provide you any type of further entertainment from our Xbox consoles in the future. You're just gonna have to stick with the old stuff. I just think that was such a sort of cocky, I don't even, not cocky, but just like we don't care, we don't give a fuck attitude towards those people. That's not the type of answer you give. You don't say oh well, we have an answer. You just stick with the old shit. Sorry, you can't play the new games. I mean, obviously that's the truth, but you don't say it like that. I don't know, it came out really weird, at least the way it was typed online. Who knows, maybe the guy didn't even say it that way, but it didn't look good. And then I was thinking with the fact of some of the comments they were making were based on this day and age with the internet and being able to download things and do patches on games that have already come out and fix little problems and stuff. That is definitely a good thing. I mean, it's definitely good to be able to go back to a game that's been out for a month or so, that someone found a horrible glitch or the game's not even working, and do a patch. But at the same time, I think it's become a normal thing now for it. It almost seems like games will come out and it's like, oh yeah, we can just patch any problems. We'll ship it, and if it has an issue or whatever, we can always go in and maybe fix it later through a download. And I think that's just going to get worse and worse and worse in the case of you'll get a game and if you buy a physical copy, well, we can fix that, or they're not even maybe considering the physical aspect. They're just like, if we release a digital game, don't worry, the person bought it digitally. We'll just patch it 15 times if we have to fix different issues. And it sucks because I don't remember in the past, like on the past generation of consoles, it seems that obviously they had to spend a little bit longer checking everything and making everything perfect, because once a game was out, they couldn't go back and patch it. You can't fix it. So it seemed a little less common to have a game that just constantly had horrible issues in it. And I just see that as sort of being like a thing of the future of, well, we can fix it so it doesn't have to be perfect, or, honestly, it doesn't even have to be really near perfect. It can be sort of half finished, and then we can, make it better later on. And then I guess the last thing is it's getting harder. Like, while I was looking through all these games, and I noticed there's this is off topic of what I was about to say, but there's a new Xbox 360 model coming out that sort of is modeled more after the Xbox One, like visually, like cosmetically. But I noticed while looking through all the games coming out, even on current console right now or the next generation consoles, it's getting harder and harder and harder to find out if a game is going to be a digital only release or a physical copy. And for me, and I know there's a lot of people out there that collect games and want a physical copy. It's like, oh, cool. You'll read an entire article, you'll see something, and then maybe not even that article, but I'll notice somewhere else it says, oh, this is going to be digital only, or it's for the iPhone, the iOS devices or something. And I'm like, really? Okay, well, I'm a lot, less excited now. But it just seems, I think they should, most of these websites like, GameSpot and IGN and, other sites, I kind of wish it could be a little bit more defined, like if when a game's announced, if they know, obviously, this is download only, or this is going to be physical copy and download, if they could, maybe put that, a little bit clearer. And yes, I know that they sometimes do, they will mention this is download only, but there were quite a few games that I had seen announced and then realized that they weren't coming, out on either a handheld or home system, as a physical copy. But that's definitely something that'll just get, more and more common also over the next, couple years, with the fact that it really seems that, especially like Xbox One, Microsoft really wants, physical transactions seem to be not as important. They're still important, they say, but they're just not as important as they were in the past. And I'm sure everyone has seen, and Megan Zelda Girl actually posted on her Facebook that there is a pretty funny short video, like a Sony PlayStation video for PlayStation 4, about how do you share your games with your friends. And if you haven't seen it yet, go check out our Facebook page. It's posted up there from, I think, yesterday or the day before. It's really funny. That's a lot of talking I just did, like 15 minutes worth. So I'm done. I have to pack my stuff up now because I have to head to the Download Festival and sleep there tonight. But anyways, thank you all for watching. And I know probably most of this info is stuff you already have heard over the last 3 days, but I try to give a little bit more of my take on some of it. And if you don't mind, please thumbs up the video down below. Leave me a comment. What are some of your favorite things you saw? What things are still driving you absolutely nuts about this next, age of gaming? Leave them down below. So thank you for watching, and I will see you all soon. Peace.